Are you studying OCR A-level biology and struggling with some of the content and feel like you would benefit from getting some guidance from me? Hi, I'm Christine. So I run Biology with Christine and I am offering Block 1 group tuition sessions starting in September. So I wanted to give you a bit of a flavour as to what I do in my sessions. Now, it's important you understand that whatever the content is that we will be covering, you will be looking at diagrams, you'll be looking at some notes, but at the same time, it's more about the questions and how you apply your knowledge. So in this case, you're told you've got 50 centimeters cubed of hydrogen peroxide solution. We have liver with catalase, and we have a volume of gas that's being collected. So you should already know that hydrogen peroxide is a toxic metabolic waste product. You should already know that catalase is an enzyme which is going to break down that hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. But do you actually understand what that means? Do you understand about catalase being an enzyme which has a tertiary structure that has an active site which is complementary to the substrate, hydrogen peroxide, and therefore is used to lower the activation energy, and that will therefore produce our water and oxygen. And if we are going to look at the rate of a reaction, we can do that through measuring the rate at which it collects, for example, the volume of gas, oxygen that's being collected. Now, what they could give you is they could give you a table of results. And if they do, they may be assessing your math skills in biology. So one of the easy things they can ask you to do is to measure and calculate that mean. So they'll give you your raw data and then they'll say, right, can you calculate the mean? Let's say for 60 seconds. So we know that the mean is to take the number of repeats that we have, in this case 3, add them together, we end up with 227, and then we want to divide it by the number of repeats, and there were 3 repeats. Now, it's important to note, in this case, my calculator gave me 75.66 reoccurring. So it's important that you then go back to the table and you look at the number of decimal points and that you follow that rule. So therefore, I need to make sure that I go to 1 decimal point, but I also need to remember my rounding. So therefore, the mean for 60 seconds is 75.7. So then what they might do is they might say, right, okay, you've worked out the mean. Can you work out the standard deviation? Do you understand how to use that equation? So you will be given it in the exam. And in this case, what it's asking you to do is to sum up the calculated value, the mean 75.7, which has to be taken away from the initial reading. So in this case, we have 75 minus 75.7, which was our mean, squared, plus the next one, 74, plus the next one, 78. And that will give us a value, which is 8.67. And again, we now need to put that into our equation. We had 3 repeats, so our n was 3. So 3 minus 1. So our standard deviation for 60 seconds was 2.08206628,136. And again, follow the rule. Whatever's in the table, that's what you must put down as your answer. Do not get caught out by that one little part. So they could do that to you. And then what they might do is actually say, right, okay, so work out the rest. They wouldn't do that. They'll only ask you to do it for once. But what they will do is potentially say to you, okay, now what we want you to do is we want you to work out the rate, the initial rate. So can you work out the initial rate of the reaction in that first 30 seconds? So in that case, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we have got 63. No, we don't. We've got 56.3. There's me switching my numbers around. And we're going to divide that by 30. So what we've got is 56.3 divided by 30 seconds. And that, if we use our calculator, will give us an answer. So let's try and see, if I use my calculator, what answer that gives me then. So one of the things I would always say to you is make sure when you are doing these practice questions that you use the calculator that you will use in the exam. So 56.3 divided by 30 gives me an answer which is 1.876 reoccurring. So do you know how to follow the rule when it comes to a calculation. And in this case, whenever you are using processed data, what you can do is you can go to one significant figure more than the original data. So we can quite clearly see the original data was collected at 57 full centimeters cubed. Our mean and standard deviation went to one significant figure more, and therefore so should our rate. So our rate therefore is 1.9 when we are going to do our rounding. Our rate is 1.9, and then we need to add in our units. So that would be centimeters cubed per second. So do make sure you know how to do the calculations, but also you know the rules that will be assessed in your exam. So if you are struggling with this type of application skills, then why not book today? The October and September sessions are a 7-week program that you can join me, and they will be tailored to the students on the course and the needs that they have. You also get a copy of all the resources used in the lessons and a link to the recording. So if you are needing to watch it again, like me, sometimes I need to re-watch things a couple of times until they are ingrained in my brain. And also you will be asked questions and you will give answers, and I will then give you personalized feedback and improvements on your written ability, because that's another thing that a lot of students struggle with. They struggle with the fact that they don't know what to write and how to improve. And having the experience of being an examiner, that's exactly what I know what to do. Not only do I know how to think like an examiner, I know how to help you to improve. So why not book today?